Welcome back to the Pylon YouTube channel. It's your boy Mike. Got a mock draft today, but first, before we even start any of this, just wanted to, if you didn't know or hear about Damar Hamlin, I just wanted to offer my most sincere prayers and thoughts towards him and his family. If you don't know what happened during last night's game, the Monday night game, Bills-Bengals game, Damar went into cardiac arrest after being hit by T. Higgins on a pretty routine-looking play. I'm just going to put the link to his charity, the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive. I'm going to put the link in the description. And I just wanted to say a quick prayer for Damar. This is someone who's going to offer their prayers and definitely want to do that. And on my platform, I have no problem doing that. Just dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and we just thank you for life, Lord, and we just thank you for the opportunity to draw breath today. And we're just so thankful. Just so thankful for life, God, and for our loved ones and for all of those who support us in our life. And then we just pray for Damar Hamlin, Lord. I just pray that you'd be with him and his family and just be with the doctors and give them wisdom to help Damar through this and get him back to full strength and help his lungs to heal and make a full recovery, Lord. Just pray all this in your name. Amen. Again, thoughts and prayers to Damar and his family. Gonna put the link again. Just gonna put the link to the charity in the description. But with all of that being said, we do have another mock draft this week. My camera is not working. That's why there's no camera this week. But we're going into the last week of the season. And I kind of, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, it's not this, I guess, monotoned. It's a pretty somber day in the sports world. And we're all just hoping and kind of on the edge of our seats, holding our breath for Damar and his health. Just being that he's a part of the game that we all love and care so much about, that you're watching a video about a mock draft by someone who is just a fan sharing his opinion on YouTube. But yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the mock draft. With the first pick, we have the Houston Texans, and I admittedly have been, and if this is the first mock draft if you're watching, I'm pretty low on this quarterback class. Like, I have my concerns, and I think they're all pretty valid. But after watching that Georgia game, the Georgia-Ohio State game this past New Year's, oh yeah, also Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. But before we get into this pick, I'm just if I say something about your team that's wrong or inaccurate or I misspeak, please just correct me in the comments. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And let's just talk about it in the comments. Tell me, don't just say, Mike, you're an idiot. You could say, Mike, you're an idiot. That's totally fine. But, say why I'm an idiot. Because then I'm going to comment back at you asking why I'm an idiot. And then when people don't respond, I just keep thinking about why when I said that warranted the reply of I'm an idiot. But anyways, the first pick, we got the Houston Texans. I was someone who was very low on C.J. Stroud. I thought C.J. Stroud would be good in a good system. I thought he'd be a great 49ers quarterback. Or maybe in the Jets system, he'd be a great Jets quarterback. We've mocked him to the Jets already. But I think that with what if you're an Ohio State fan or you're a Stroud homer, you're going to say, oh, he's been doing that all season. But, he really hasn't. Not to that extent. What he did against Georgia, which is essentially a pro defense, an NFL defense, with what he did with his arm and his legs, I think it pushes Stroud over Bryce Young and Will Levis. I got a lot of heat for mocking Levis as the first overall last mock draft because I think that the concerns with Bryce Young's size are very real. I mean, Tua has 30 plus pounds on him and some height, and he's on his third concussion this year. It's just, Bryce Young is so small that I think that the concerns are just very, very real with him, the size concerns. Stroud is prototypical size. And I was listening to Sean Payton, former Saints head coach, talk about the draft process. And he said that and I didn't know this. I thought it was really cool information to find out. But he said that the Saints organization, now I'm not sure if every organization does this, but they have a prototype build for each position, where if they didn't fit the build, there would have to be a very compelling case to draft them. Especially with their first, like very strictly with their first round pick. Like that, if they didn't fit the mold, very rarely do they draft them with their first round pick, let alone the first overall pick. And I think Stroud, what he showed, he doesn't have the arm talent or the ball placement, or that's on the same level as Bryce Young, but his accuracy, his touch, his ability to extend plays and improvise, which was a huge knock on him before the Georgia game. That I think is put to bed now. Like I am now a Stroud. I still don't know if he'll be the best NFL quarterback, but I would feel much more comfortable taking him at 1 than I did 2 weeks ago. But at pick 2, we have the Bears. We're not going to do any trades, but I can guarantee you that this pick and this pick are going to be traded most likely. I think the Raiders and the Panthers are going to try their best to move up for these slots. I think the Colts will as well, to be safe. But since we're not doing trades, we're going to go ahead and draft for the Bears. We're going to take Jalen Carter. A lot of people believe Jalen Carter is the best prospect in this draft class, and I kind of agree with that. He's just such a game wrecker, especially if you watch the Ohio State game. He absolutely he just puts like pro film out there every time he plays. So I would have the only real concern with Jalen Carter is there is character concerns, but I always try to keep that with a grain of salt because you really never know. Like if it's just recency bias, like the same thing happened to Kayvon Thibodeau last year, who was the number 1 overall pick unanimously until about this time, and then all of a sudden reports came out of like, oh, he doesn't care about football anymore, which were just not true at all. But anyway, pick 3. We got the Seahawks, and this is actually the Denver Bronco pick. And I think that since Geno has started to slow down, this is going to be a quarterback pick, especially if they finish with this pick. As in, if Denver finishes with a number 3 overall pick, I'm just torn between would it be Levis or Young. I think though, Bryce Young's bowl game he just played, I think if you put Bryce Young in Anthony Richardson's body, he'd be the unanimous number 1 overall pick, and you wouldn't even think twice. But it's just he's so tiny. And I know you're saying you're overreacting to his size, but I think I posted it in the last video that there have been 300 quarterbacks taken, and only 2 were fit into Bryce Young's mold, and they were taken in the 3rd and 5th round. He is such an anomaly and an outlier that it's really hard for me to get behind. He'll be this top pick, but the talent is undeniable. So we're going to go ahead and take Young to the Seahawks at pick 3. At pick 4 is the Cardinals. I think this pick 100% gets traded unless the board falls this way. I don't know if they would trade out the opportunity to draft Will Anderson. Because if they trade out, let's just say with the Raiders, who are moving up for Will Levis, let's say, then the whole board shakes. The whole board is just a mess. And the Raiders are going to need a quarterback because they've already benched Derek Carr and said that they're trying to trade him. But because we're not doing trades, we're going to go ahead and take the best edge rusher and arguably the best player in the draft as well, Will Anderson. I don't know if I would take Carter or Anderson if I was a general manager. I don't think you miss with both, but Will Anderson has exceptional character reports where there are character concern reports with Jalen Carter. But Colts at 5, we're going to take Levis. I think they're done with this quarterback carousel business. They're just going to go ahead and take a quarterback that they could hopefully can replace Andrew Luck. Lions at pick 6. This is via the Rams. We're going to go ahead and take Myles Murphy. I think Myles Murphy is one of my favorite players in this draft. I think he's going to test out an absolute freak. He's just got great prototypical size, great explosiveness, and he just has a tremendous amount of upside. And I think putting him alongside with Aiden Hutchinson, it's going to be a really good edge rusher duo for a long time. And since the Lions are kind of cap stricken because of the Jared Goff contract, I think that building your defense with these 2 first-round picks you have is a very, very good idea, unless you want to trade up for a quarterback, because the Lions are good now, and they're not going to have this opportunity to draft a quarterback high probably for a while. So that's the other argument, is like they draft a quarterback, like maybe you take Richardson here, or he falls to your next pick at 17 and you take him there. But I also think Atlanta is very much so in play to trade up for a quarterback. Not a lot of people are talking about them, or don't have Atlanta on the quarterback radar, hardly any. They're starting to catch on, but like I don't understand why. I like Desmond Ridder more than most people, but it literally took Marcus Mariota quitting the team for Ridder to get a chance. He's played okay. I just don't know if he's shown enough for him to even have another chance. I mean, we saw Davis Mills get another year after 2021, but Davis Mills played a ton more than Desmond Ridder has. So anyway, at pick 7, I'm going to go ahead and address the edge position. I really like Jared Verse. I think that he could be one of the best edge rushers in the class. He played at Albany last year before he transferred into Florida State. And he didn't skip a beat. Like, he has a track background, very explosive athlete. Like, I was listening to a PFF podcast about the edge rusher position, and they were very high on Jared Verse. They had him at, like, their second or third edge rusher of the class. Both the two guys talking, and they had a quote that stuck out to me, that they said that Jared Verse is a lot closer to Will Anderson than the rest of the group. And if that's true, man, like, Jared Verse could be a steal wherever he gets taken. But I really do like Jared Verse. I'm pretty high on him. Clearly I have him here at pick 7, but anyways, at pick 8, we have the Raiders, and I think that they trade up for a quarterback. They're probably going to lose again next week. Not saying like they're... I just don't think... I think McDaniels is very much set on getting his own quarterback next year. So I think he wants to, have as high of a draft pick as possible, which is why they benched Derek Carr. And I said in the last video that Broderick Jones was my favorite tackle in this class, and after the Georgia game, a lot of people have moved him up to tackle number 1, and I am just a little bit higher on SEC tackles than, like Paris Johnson coming from the Big Ten, or Skoronski, who is just very small to play tackle. He'll probably be a very good guard in the NFL. I think he'll play tackle pretty well, but I think Broderick Jones, and I think for what the Raiders are going to try to do, depending on what they do with Josh Jacobs, I think Broderick Jones is probably the best run blocker in the class, and I think that the Raiders are going to try to run the ball a lot, especially with McDaniels coming over from New England, where they run the ball a ton. They drafted Zamir White last year. They didn't pick up the option on Josh Jacobs, so I think they're going to try to build a pretty deep backfield. They'll probably draft another running back at some point in this draft again, maybe sign one. It's just a loaded running back free agent class, which is why I think a lot of teams that you would expect to draft a running back in the first round aren't going to, because they'll probably sign one. Like Saquon's a free agent, Tony Pollard's a free agent, Josh Jacobs is a free agent, David Montgomery's a free. Like, there are so many running backs that are very good running backs that are going to be free agents. So we'll see what the Raiders do. I think a team like the Raiders that's trying to rebuild, it's probably not the best idea to draft a running back, or pay a running back, super high, premium money. Unless they franchise tag Josh Jacobs, but I still don't think that's just a good idea, because you're not going to compete next year. And you're probably going to trade Devontae Adams. Carolina, pick 9, I don't think Tepper, the Panthers owner, is going to want to deal with the patience of waiting for Anthony Richardson to develop. Personally, I think he's a very impatient, compulsive person. I think they're going to try to land Lamar Jackson, or try to land a big Derek Carr, or perhaps Jimmy Garoppolo or something. I think that the smart thing to do, if that's the case, and you don't want to gamble on Richardson, which I don't really blame people for that, is just take the best player available. And I think after the Michigan TCU game, that is Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is unquestionably, if there's any doubt, there should not be any more doubt that he's the best wide receiver in this class. He's 6'4" and took a ball 75 yards. from behind the line of scrimmage for 6. Like, if you watch the video, and a lot of people were saying, like, oh, there was nobody near him, For someone who's 6'4" to be able to run 75 yards behind the line of scrimmage, people would be able to catch him if he was moving slow. Like, he was not moving. That's just what a big dude moving fast looks like. It's not like when you see Kyler Murray run, when he looks like he's running 100 miles per hour because he's 3 feet tall, run around. Like, a 6'4" receiver is going to look like he's literally galloping down the sideline, which Johnson was. He had 100 going into the third quarter, or like the beginning of the third quarter. After that catch, he had 4 catches for 159 yards and a touchdown. Like, he's just not real. Pick 10 is the Eagles, and I think we're going to replace Fletcher Cox with this pick and take Brian Brazee. I like Brian Brazee a lot. I know a lot of people don't. I think he's going to be a good NFL talent. If you're a box score like junkie, don't judge Brian Brazee too harshly. Like, I think his sister, I know he dealt with a lot of off the field stuff, but like not character wise. Like, I think his sister passed away, and he just missed some time. But he is a very, very talented player, and I think he's going to be a top 10-ish pick, top 15 pick, come draft time. And then at pick 11, we have the Titans, and I know a lot of people are saying Derrick Henry is the engine of this offense, build around Derrick Henry. I agree, but it's to the point where Derrick Henry isn't the same pre-foot injury. Like, yeah, he has those spurts where he goes off for, like, if he plays the Texans. Like, if Derrick Henry played the Texans every game, yeah, build around Derrick Henry for the next 100 years, because he's never going to not rush for, like, 200 yards against the Texans. But I think I kind of have a belief that there will be consideration for Mike Vrabel to be head coach and general manager. And I think it's time to build this team like a modern offense. And that starts with the offensive line, but also the receiving room. And I think you have your X in Treylon Burks, or your doo-dog guy in Treylon Burks. You might as well get one of the best slot receivers in the draft. It's not the best slot receiver in the draft. Possibly the best receiver in the draft to some people, Jordan Addison. I think get Jordan Addison, start laying the foundation for when you find that quarterback of the future, and just, I don't think Malik Willis is it, but build the team to be ready for when you have that guy. But Texans up again at pick 12. This is the Browns pick. I'm going to go ahead and take Jackson Smith-Njigba. I know a lot of people are low on Jackson Smith-Njigba, but I'm going to I blame recency bias and for him not playing that much this year. Now, it's going to depend on how he tests and if this hamstring issue is more severe than we think, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is one of the most talented players in the draft. Like, he's the best run-blocking receiver in the draft. He's probably the best route runner in the draft. He's very hard to tackle after he catches the ball. I think he had 19 broken tackles this year or last year. I'm forgetting when that number is from, but I know he had 19 broken tackles either this year or last year. Last year he had, I think he broke a single game record in the playoffs when he had, I think, around like 200 yards, something wild. And that was with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave still being there. Like, I think we're all kind of like, we're letting Jackson Smith-Njigba fall down draft boards because he's getting boring. Like, I think that's just, let's not overthink this. I know a lot of people say don't helmet scout, but like Ohio State wide receivers are pretty much always good nowadays. But yeah, I also think that there is, like, you have the familiarity for CJ Stroud, your new quarterback, to play with someone who he had thrown 1,600 yards to just a year ago. In one season. And we saw how well that worked with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So, like, I think that this is a very, very good pick. You also have to replace Brandon Cooks if you want to look at the team as a whole. And Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably the best slot receiver in the draft. So, yeah. Pick 13, we got the Jets. I don't think you're going to go Anthony Richardson, to be honest. If you want Anthony Richardson, I'm sorry. I think Joe Douglas knows that he built a competitive roster that's ready to compete now and is very, very young. Probably the youngest, most talented roster in the league. I think the Zach Wilson pick was forced upon him because it's pretty much one of the only mistakes he's made since building this roster out. I think you're going to probably take the biggest swing at Derek Carr, and you're probably going to land Derek Carr, which is, I mean, if you follow us on Twitter, I've been very critical of Derek Carr. I think I've been overcritical of Derek Carr. I think McDaniels is just a poopy caca head coach. I think this pick is going to go on the offensive line, and I kind of go back and forth between, do I want to take Trenton Simpson or do I want to go on the offensive line and take a tackle? Why I'm going to say let's go tackle here, and that's going to be Peter Skoronski, is because you have to replace Mekhi Becton, and I don't think that forcing Elijah Vera Tucker to play tackle out of necessity is the right thing to do. Like, I think you should just let him play his natural position at guard, where he was playing at an exceptional Pro Bowl level. Put him back there, recuperate, like let the offensive line heal and get healthy, and then drop Skoronski in there to play. I think I mentioned that Skoronski's very small. His arm length is one of the lowest or smallest ever measured for the position. Like, Rashawn Slater had small arms. His arms are smaller than Rashawn Slater's. But I think Skoronski is going to translate well, and if not, he's going to be an elite guard, and then you can move Vera Tucker back to tackle if you absolutely have to. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Or you could take Paris Johnson. It depends on what you're going to do, but I think with Robert Saleh being there, you're going to try to be a run-first offense, and I don't think Paris Johnson's the greatest run blocker in the class. He's still a very good run blocker, don't get me wrong. I just think the versatility brought by Skoronski is just, it's primo. Washington, pick 14. I think with this pick, you need to get your corner, your shutdown corner that you've needed for years. I also could see, if Ron Rivera makes it to next season, him taking Anthony Richardson here at 20. Because he has a familiarity with a Cam Newton type player where he was able to develop him. Even though Cam was a much better prospect than Richardson coming out of school, I still think that there is that allure for Ron Rivera. But we're going to go ahead and take the best player on the board, in my opinion, and that is Christian Gonzalez. I think Christian Gonzalez is the best corner in the draft. No question about it. It's just very, very good lockdown corner. He's like definitely not on Sauce's level. Like, Sauce is a top 5 corner in the league already. But I think that Gonzalez is very good. I think he'll be a very good corner. He'll be one of the rare corners where, like, kind of like, I'll use the example of Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah was one of the best prospects for corners in recent memory, and he stunk his first 2 years. I know he tore his Achilles, and I'm very happy he's playing well now, but, like, I don't think Gonzalez is going to have that, like, time where he needs to, like, rev up, if so to speak, or acclimate to the NFL. But anyway, at pick 15, we got the Steelers. And here we're going to take a tackle. I think that let's get Najee Harris some help, because this offense does flow through Najee Harris, whether we want to admit it or not. Like, he had a down year, but they also didn't address the offensive line hardly any. So let's get Paris Johnson and Kenny Pickett help. Like, you don't want the offensive line to be the reason Kenny Pickett struggles. And then at pick 16, we got the Packers. I thought about going tackle here, but with the big 3 being off the board, and I'm still kind of on the fence of taking Anton Harrison this high. And with the receivers left, like, I think Jalen Hyatt kind of does the same thing that Christian Watson does. I think this is too early for Josh Downs. The only receiver I would think about taking here is Kayshon Boutte. He's my favorite receiver in the draft. I'm very happy he redeclared, but there's also off the field stuff going on with him now, so I don't know what to make of that. But anyway, we're going to go with the boring pick that I've made 3 times in a row now, Michael Mayer. I just think Robert Tonyan's a free agent. You got to address offense so that Aaron Rodgers stays happy. But at pick 17, we got the Lions. And then with this pick, we are going to go ahead. This is the Lions pick. We're going to go ahead and take Keely Ringo. And if you're going to comment saying, oh, I don't want Ringo, he just got cooked by Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the number 1 overall pick next year if Caleb Williams and Drake May didn't exist. Like, do you blame corners when they get cooked by Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams? No. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be that good coming into the league. He's not going to be... Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. And Justin Jefferson wasn't the best receiver in the NFL, or top 5 even when he started his rookie year. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to come in and be a top 10 receiver immediately. He has everything you want. So, talking about how good Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I'm going to defend Kelee Ringo. I think he's raw, but he has great athleticism, length, size. If you watch him just get burnt, he recovers. So it looks like every time you watch Kelee Ringo, you'll be like, damn, he just got burnt. And then he recovers and gets the pass deflection. It really doesn't make any sense, but that's a player where, like, if you could kind of bridle that and channel it into a technically sound corner, you're going to have one of the best corners in the game. Like, it's just, that's what's going to happen. Seahawks at pick 18 with their own pick. We're going to get some help on the defensive line, and we're going to take Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson, a lot of people, he's drawing comparisons to Trayvon Walker. Similar size, similar weight, similar length. He's just not, like, why Trayvon Walker shot up draft boards to the #1 overall pick is because Trayvon Walker's athleticism for that size is not real. Like, Tyree Wilson is not nearly the athlete that Trayvon Walker is. He's still going to get picked probably top 20 because of the size he has, but like, if you're going to compare him to Trayvon Walker, that's just nuts. Like, that's not real. Jags at pick 19. I would like to go receiver here, but with who's left on the board, I don't think any of them necessarily really fit into this Jags offense, and I think they're going to probably address it in later rounds. Like, I could see them taking a chance on Rashee Rice if he falls, Tillman if he falls, Parker Washington, etc. I think they're going to get receiver help in the draft, but I think they're also going to probably, like, they already have Calvin Ridley. So we're going to go ahead and take a corner here, and we're going to take someone I'm personally very high on. It's Cam Smith. I think Cam Smith is kind of just J.C. Horn light. Like, he's a very physical, twitchy, boundary corner that can play very, very well in man coverage. And I think that's what the Jaguars need. The Jaguars defense needs help. Tater Tot is slamming on my door right now. That's my dog. But anyways, pick 20 is the Bucks. I want to take a corner because in my brain, Tom Brady is not coming back to the Buccaneers. I'm not saying he's retiring, but he will not be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year. If you're a Bucs fan, I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. What I think happens is either you're going to take a corner here and take a swipe at a free agent quarterback, maybe Daniel Jones, maybe Lamar Jackson, like, go big for someone to keep you relevant. But what I really think happening is you guys getting no one. Tom Brady leaves, and then you're stuck. And at that point, you might as well draft Anthony Richardson here at pick 20 where it makes sense. You could sit him behind Kyle Trask for a year. You could sit him behind Kyle Trask for 2 years. But the Bucs are going to go into a rebuild. They don't even know if they have their head coach yet. You might as well, if Brady leaves, clean the slate, get your head coach of the future, and let Richardson bake as that offense develops and the team gets built out. And then by the time Richardson's ready to play, everything's set in place for him. I really like that idea. If you don't like this pick, I understand, because a lot of people think that Richardson's going to be like a huge bust or a day 2 pick, which I agree with. Like, I think he's either going to go in the first or he's going to go into the late day 2, or mid day 2. But, you know, I think this is a prospect where his landing spot matters most. Like, where he lands is going to determine if he's even viable in the NFL at the next level. Pick 21, it's the Pats. Right here, we're going to go ahead. Tough pick. I want to take Joey Porter Jr., but I'd rather take Trenton Simpson. Bill Belichick can find corner talent anywhere in the draft, and Trenton Simpson is such a good chess piece for that defense. They're going to get the offense straightened out, so I'm not too worried about it. They're going to get a new OC. They're going to fix that, and Mac Jones will be all right. But I think Trenton Simpson is going to be such a good linebacker in the NFL. He's got great size, great coverage ability. He could drop back in the coverage. He's got great horizontal speed. He can go sideline to sideline. He's got great instincts. He's probably the only linebacker we'll see in the first round. Some linebackers that may creep into the first round, I think There's a chance for Noah Sewell and Drew Sanders, but those are the only other two. Linebacker, I feel like, is just a position where, like, it's not as common to take in the first round. I think last year we had two definitely go. We had Quay Walker and Devin Lloyd. And then Nakobe Dean, who was supposed to be a first-round prospect, fell all the way to third. So it'll be interesting to see how linebacker plays out this year. Pick 22 is New York Giants, and you gotta, if you're not getting Trenton Simpson, or you're not gonna get a corner, like Joey Porter Jr. is a very, very good pick for the Giants. I just think that, like, if it's me and I want a receiver to unlock, to get Daniel Jones to the next level that he's already leveled up at, I'm taking my shot at Kayshon Boutte, man. LSU receiver. He's 6 foot, 205. He's a crisp route runner. Very good yards after catch receiver. The only knock on him from what I've watched on his tape is he looks not explosive. And that might be the reason he falls into round 2 or round 3. But, like, his upside is he might be, like, in my opinion, he's top 3 in the draft. Like, it's Johnston, Addison, / JSN, and then Boutte. Like, I would maybe even put Boutte over JSN because of just his ability to play in the slot, out wide. Like, he could line up anywhere. And, like, my comp for Boutte is DJ Moore. Like, he reminds me so much of DJ Moore. But it's, I mean, with the off-the-field stuff, who knows what's going to happen with him. But if the Giants can land him here at pick 22, and he turns out to be okay in the NFL, I think this has got wide receiver 1 potential all over it. Like, that's just how I look at Boutte. So I look at Boutte, baby. Pick 23 is the Baltimore Ravens, and we are going to take Joey Porter Jr. in case Marcus Peters leaves in free agency, which I don't know if that's going to happen. It's really just let's monitor Lamar Jackson and see what happens. I think they bring back Peters. I also think they draft a corner in the first round. Joey Porter Jr. here at pick 23. Absolute steal. But anyways, pick 24. Got the Los Angeles Chargers. And with this pick, excuse me, I think they, if it's me, dude, like if I'm the owner of the Chargers, I say this every video, I am going after either John Harbaugh from Michigan, or I'm going all in on Sean Payton. One or the other. Like, I need someone to develop and put my franchise quarterback in the best position to succeed, and it's not Brandon Staley. He does not put, like, yes, they made the playoffs. Brandon Staley is a defensive-minded coach that hasn't even fixed the defense yet. The offensive scheme is so one-dimensional. You know what's going to happen before it even happens. Like, us viewers who don't know, like, we should not know. We should not be able to watch an NFL offense and be like, I know what's happening here. I know they're going to throw it to Hero. I know he's going to run this route. And that's what happens every time I watch the Chargers offense. And it frustrates me because it's wasting Justin Herbert's. It's just wasting him. Like, give him Sean Payton and let them cook. But with that being said, I don't think their defense is bad. I just think Brandon Staley actually doesn't know what he's doing. And because I don't think he knows what he's doing, I'm just going to make the offense better. And I'm going to take arguably a top 10 prospect in the draft at pick 24 that I know with 100% certainty is going to make our team better, and that is Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, and if they do land Sean Payton, we saw what Sean Payton did with Alvin Kamara. Like, Bijan Robinson is a much better talent than Kamara, as crazy as that is. He's bigger, he's stronger, he can also catch passes. Give Sean Payton the keys to this franchise. Let him take Robinson. We know he's not afraid to draft running backs as he drafted Reggie Bush. Like, just let Payton cook, dude. And then the Chargers are going to go to the AFC Chip next year. Fact. Bengals, pick 25. We got to get a corner here, man. And I'm going to go ahead and take Devin Witherspoon. Devin Witherspoon is flying up draft boards for all the right reasons. I think Clark Phillips is starting to fall a little bit because he is a smidge undersized. I wouldn't care too much about it, but I'm also someone who really just advocates just signing corners in free agency because you know what you're getting. But, yeah, let's take Devin Witherspoon here. You got to replace Eli Apple. Crusty Apple. And then Minnesota pick 26. I think that This is tough. I think the best pick here, it's got it 100% has to be defense. I'm taking Brian Branch. Why I'm taking Brian Branch is he just has the versatility to play free safety, and he's an elite nickel corner. And he had a banger bowl game. I think for this Vikings team, which is kind of in limbo, like if they go one and done this year, which I really think they're going to lose to the Giants in round 1 because they should have lost to the Giants already. I don't know what they do with Kirk Cousins, man. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to this team this offseason because there's an off chance they just nuke it. Like, if Anthony Richardson falls to 26, Vikings are on watch to draft Anthony Richardson, by the way. Pick 27 is the Dallas Cowboys. Gosh, this is tough for me because I drafted Bijan to the Cowboys last time, and I think it was the right move. Because why pay Zeke or Pollard? Like, just let them both walk and get one for free. But I keep seeing Cowboys fans, and I don't agree with this, but I see it. They keep complaining about Michael Gallup. And I have been a Michael Gallup fan for a very long time. And you guys are being kind of crazy. The dude did just tear his ACL last year. Like, let's give him a season before we say he's washed. But I think you got to replace Noah Brown. I think that's the receiver you should be complaining about. And I think that, like, you have CD who primarily plays in the slot. But CD has definitely leveled up this year to an Alpha 1. I don't know if he's a high-end Alpha 1. Like, I think, like, T. Higgins, who is viewed as a 2. Like, I think he would be a better 1 than CD Lamb. And I like CD. Like, I'm not trying to bash on CD Lamb. I'm just saying I think he's an average wide receiver 1, which is still very, very good. It's just funny because every time I watch CeeDee Lamb, he's doing some crazy catch, and then he just drops the one that hits him right in the breadbasket. It's the most... doesn't make any sense. But we're going to take... I thought about Jalen Hyatt, but I don't think Jalen Hyatt fits this offense at all. Like, at all. I think Josh Downs would be a very good pick. To me, it really came down to... do I want to take Josh Downs to replace Noah Brown, kick CD out wide, and put Josh Downs in the slot, who is a very good slot receiver, and he will be very good in the next level? Or do I want to draft Jahmyr Gibbs? And I think that Jahmyr Gibbs would be... like, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of reminds me a lot of Aaron Jones. But I think that... whichever one you want. Let me know in the comments if you're a Cowboys fan. Would you rather Gibbs, Downs, or neither? And then tell me who you want. But at pick 28, we got the Broncos. Also a team on Anthony Richardson watch, just because we still don't know if Russell Wilson's washed or not. He had one good game. Like, let's relax. One good game all year. So, Broncos at pick 28. I think you do need to build the offensive line, though, or you need to replace Bradley Chubb. And I kind of like the idea of going Foskey here, but I think we're going to take Anton Harrison. I just think that you need to build that offensive line and become a run-first offense, and then see if Russell Wilson can somehow revive himself. Bills at pick 29. I kind of alluded to this in the beginning of the video, and now I'm kind of conflicted on it at the end of the video. Like, to me, I'm drafting Osiris Torrance here. But, like, and why I'm drafting Osiris Torrance is this is a loaded running back class, right? Like, you could get, if you don't like this pick, like, you could take Gibbs, but, like, you also could get Zach Charbonnet, Blake Corum, Sean Tucker, like, Tank Bigsby. There's a lot of running back options that can fill the role you need, which is that bruiser back, so Josh Allen doesn't have to bludgeon himself into the goal line over and over and over again. But do you, like, if you're in a Super Bowl window, do you want to be paying a running back? Like, if you go to free agency, do you want to, is paying for Saquon Barkley, obviously, would make sense, or paying for a Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to end up on the Bills, would make a lot of sense, unless he gets franchise tagged. Is paying for Tony Pollard worth it? Is paying for David Montgomery worth it? Like, you could be saying yes, but you got to realize, like, that's cap you're allocating to the running back position that you could allocate to your defense, which is kind of simmering down and taking a step back. Or is that money that you could put towards, like, a DJ Chark, who's a more consistent Gabe Davis? Like, it's just food for thought, in my opinion. Kansas City Chiefs at pick 30, and we're going to take Jalen Hyatt. Now, think about it. Jalen Hyatt literally beat Alabama on all go routes. Tyreek Hill made his money on running past everybody, and then Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball. That's what they need Jalen Hyatt to do. And it will be fine. Eagles at pick 31. I really like Nolan Smith here. Or Clark Phillips. I'm going to go with Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith was the #1 overall prospect, I believe, out of his high school class. And he was having a good year, and it's always hard to kind of evaluate Georgia defensive linemen because of how they package them and utilize them. But Nolan Smith tore his pec this year. And if he didn't tear his pec, you could argue he's a top 15 pick, possibly a top 10 pick. So we're going to take that to the Eagles and just beef them up more than they need to be beefed up at this point. Pick 32 is the first pick of the second round. The Dolphins forfeited their pick this year. And we are going to go with, since we have our franchise quarterback, we got him a franchise weapon, we're going to go and get him some protection. And we are going to replace my homeboy Quessenberry with John Michael Schmitz, the #1 center prospect in the draft. Now, you could be saying, Mike, please, take Siaki Ika. Take Isaiah Foskey. The reason why I'm taking John Michael Schmitz is because we've said this every single year, and it just pains me to watch. Like, we said this last year with Tyler Linderbaum. Oh, you can't draft a center that high. Positional value. He's one of the best offensive line prospects in the draft. He's one of the best offensive line rookies in the NFL. We said this 2 years ago with Creed Humphrey. Oh, you can't take Creed Humphrey in the first round. He's a center. Why are we going to do it again with John Michael Schmitz? The #1 center prospect usually ends up being very, very good at the next level, and is whenever you know you're on Instagram or whatever, and you see the 2021 draft class redrafted. The centers are always in the first round the next year. So we are just going to take John Michael Schmitz at pick 32 and be happy. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for your prayers. Don't forget about the link to the charity in the description below. And yeah, man, just tell your family you love them. Tell your loved ones you love them. You never know what's going to happen. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching this mock draft. Leave your comments or leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.